Hello, this is Mrs. Wild from your WCA biology class, and I'm here to help you with the Unit 8 Lesson 4 portfolio on the animal phylogenetic trees. I did modify this portfolio for you all from what is in the lesson, so please make sure you watch this video and make sure you use the link to the worksheet that I've created that is different from what's in the lesson. So let me first talk a little bit about what a phylogenetic tree is. So a phylogenetic tree or a cladogram, what they do is they show the relationship of different organisms to each other, how they may have come from a common ancestor. The bottom of the tree is the oldest ancestor, and as you move up the tree, you will see more recent ancestors. The little points at which the branches diverge, I always call them armpits, but they're actually known as nodes. Those represent common ancestors, and the tips are the organisms we see today. Another thing you're going to notice on this phylogenetic tree is you'll see these what we call derived characters. These are inherited characteristics that only the organisms that are shown above that branch point actually share. And we use these derived characters to determine evolutionary relationships. So the more derived characters and two organisms share in common, the more closely they are evolutionarily, or the more recent the common ancestor between them. We also sometimes have groups of organisms that have a very recent common ancestor, and we call that a clade because they're very closely related to each other. For example, the leopard and the house cat here. So how you would read this is, if we look at just these animals, every animal on this clade or cladogram or phylogenetic tree, they're all kind of synonyms, have backbones. But only the horse, the wolf, the leopard, and the house cat have hair. The wolf, the leopard, and the house cat are carnivorous, but only the leopard and the house cat have retractable claws. And they both have the ability to purr. The leopard and the house cat are the most closely related pair on this particular cladogram. This is a very simplified cladogram. Sometimes they're very complex. There's just no way you can include all organisms and their ancestors and any intermediate organisms on one simple cladogram. It's just going to be so complex it may be difficult to read. So your job is you are going to be representing a scientist who has found some fossil evidence of a species known as a xenophyte, or what do we call these guys? Xenite, sorry, I forgot the name of it. And you're going to determine how closely related each is to each other, or the order of evolution based upon characteristics that they have. So I'm going to take you now to the sheet. This is your worksheet. It is, like I said, different from what is in the lesson. We've kind of modified things a little bit, simplified things a little bit. So the original, or species A, has no derived characters. This fossil looks like this, okay? And then what you're going to be doing is you're going to be determining the order that each of these species came into being. Like, where did we see each one evolve? We have species A, species B, species C, species D, and species E. So the first thing you're going to do, which is going to be done on this chart here, is you're going to determine which characteristics they share. So for example, if they have a mouth, you would put a Y in the box. So B has a mouth, C has a mouth, D has a mouth, E has a mouth. A does not, right? So you're going to continue to fill in this chart. And once you have the chart filled in, you'll be able to see which ones are more closely related to each other, and kind of put them in order, because you'll start off with the ones that have the characteristics that are more like A will be the oldest, and the ones that are most different from A will be the youngest, if that makes sense. Then you determine the order in which you think they evolved. And actually, I realize I need a step 5 here. Okay. Just place them in order here. A, B, C, D, A, C, B, D, whatever the order happens to be. Then you're going to construct a phylogenetic tree. And you can do this on like a piece of paper, um, at home. Just need to take a picture of it and then upload it to the Dropbox. So that is where you're going to do something like this. You know, I use this is Microsoft Whiteboard. You can use Microsoft Whiteboard if you want. And then you can, construct your phylogenetic tree, and you're going to place, not only do you put the organism on here, but then you're also going to need to include the derived characters. Notice, remember that if the derived character is listed prior to the branch point, then it includes everything. So perhaps, like we'll put species A in here, and then if we go back here and say, well, B has a mouth and so does C, D, and E, the first derived character is going to be having a mouth. So then I would put something here and indicate that that this represents, oops, let's do that here. Okay, that's the derived character. A doesn't have a mouth, so the derived character, it comes after A. So you're going to continue to construct yours. If you do end up using Microsoft Whiteboard like I did here, I shouldn't have attached that there, but you can actually take a screenshot of this if you want and attach it. That's fine too. But you can seriously do this like on a piece of paper with some, markers, colored pencils, or whatever, and that would work. You just need to take a picture with your phone. I would say email it to yourself, and then upload that picture to your computer so that you have it to use. Let's see. There we go. Once you have, I'm going to go ahead and delete this. Y'all don't have that completed in here, but once you have that done, then all of a sudden, just like in science, new evidence has been unearthed, right? So a new species has been found, species F. Species F has a different trait that previously was unknown. This trait is called bioluminescence, the ability to glow. So they went back and they studied the previous Xenites, and they found out actually species D and E also share this characteristic of bioluminescence. So you'll need to complete another table. And then what I want you to do is create another phylogenetic tree. And that phylogenetic tree should have, oops, there we go. That should have species F on it. And again, you're also going to be including all of those derived characters on the new phylogenetic tree. So you do have to do two of them, two phylogenetic trees. Okay, you do have some questions to answer along the way. Question in step 5, which species share bioluminescence? What does this suggest about the relationship? And then you have your conclusions. How did your tree change after adding species F and why? Why do scientists sometimes change phylogenetic trees? Which trait had the biggest impact on your tree? And what is the difference between a homologous and an analogous trait? This is one where you may have to do some research on it, but I do want you to put that into your own words. Don't just ask, AI for an answer. If you do go that route, I still want you to come back and rephrase it in a way that makes sense to you. AI should never be how we get our answers, but if we end up using it, it should just be a method to learn or use it as a teacher. So what needs to be submitted? 2 phylogenetic trees, which is this one here. Table 1, Table 2, and all the questions that you have to answer. Okay, and this is your second and last portfolio for the semester. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, good luck, everybody, and we'll see you in class.